Apollo World Equipment, proud sponsors of the Nampo 400. Race leaders Steyn and Fourie had already passed when Kirstein and Jooste, who were now third on the road, arrived at a small river crossing. The misfire persisted on the Atlas Copco bat. Krobler and Vormerans had dropped to third in the national production vehicle category, but drama lay ahead. The bat had caught fire, and frantic efforts were underway to try and extinguish the blaze. Much to the delight of the many Ford racing fans that attended the event, Van Reenen and Palmer were fourth in the production vehicle category.
Vandaag weer?
Petrolek.
Wat jullie voor geweest? Jullie papwiel gehad?
Ja.
Vandaag weer met jullie afvoer?
Nee, er is een papwielen, 2 papwielen. 2 papwielen.
The 2 punctures cost Krobler a lot of time and allowed teammates Gerber and Labuskachny to nip by into second place. The Klerksdorp-based crew would have to pull out all the stops if they hoped to pick up back-to-back wins on the Nampo 400. Van Reenen and Palmer just kept trucking along in the Ford Ranger. The special vehicle leaders in the national section of the race were now Corbett and Kelsey, whose test run will prove to be invaluable on the forthcoming Nissan Dealer 400, which features equally sandy terrain.
Wat is weer?
Ag nee, ek het maar net 'n klip aan die binnekant geklip en toe te vinnig. Driver's error. Ja.
Not a good start to the season for the Augustines.
Weet jy, ek dink hy het 'n klip gevang en toe het ons gerol, maar dit het so vinnig gebeur, mens voordat jy besef, dan is dit al verby.
Zeker?
Ja nee, ek is okay, dankie.
JP will have to burn the midnight oil if he hopes to have the Nissan ready for the Nissan Dealer 400 on the 19th of March. Class B leader Gareth Walk.
As jy water bygooi, jy kan hom nie toemaak met iets.
Class D in the regional section belonged to the Van Veerens at this stage of the race. The Augustines were down but not out and would spend the rest of the day supporting their teammates. Tapuch and Van der Merwe had no problems getting through the river in the 2-wheel drive Nissan. The rest of the field arrived thick and fast, with Malcolm Koch and Reino Jacobs leading the pack in the Class E Toyota. Hendrik Reineke and Jaco van Tonder were close behind in the ex-RP Reineke Toyota Land Cruiser, and the river section was now getting decidedly churned up. Would husband and wife, Frank and Deleen de Greef, make it through in the 2-wheel drive Toyota? Yes, they did. And so did Derek and Pieter de Wit in the Class B Prolong Orca. Veteran Wolf Peter Fumfi had a clean run through the water in his WPP.
Ja, wat ons het aangekom hier so na die water toe ryk ons brandstof, toe stop ons, toe om my te vind nou wat die fout is, toe gaan Henry oor na die tweede fuelpomp toe klink dit of dit reg is. Kom ons in die water in, maar ja, het was net deur toe slaan die kar in die brand. Tel die pakker pumper toe die vlamme op, pomp het in ons helmets in, maar gelukkig was dit reg, was dit safe. Thanks.
Andre Vermeulen and Wenzel Pretorius led Class S in the AC Special, but would later retire with mechanical problems. Steyn and Fourie arrived at the end of the first 125-kilometre loop with a handy lead over the competition, but the Isuzu was looking a little the worse for wear, and it was only a matter of time before Gerben Lawaskachny would arrive at the pits.
Kijk, as hy draai gerustig. Het jy 'n kap om weer daar? Ja, maar hy's soek net waar met hy was.
Ja, is 'n baie lekker veterinary, is baie smooth, bietjie sand teen daar, baie sel soos desert race en daling, maar dit is goed en ek dink is goed as in die Vrystaat kom 'n bietjie iets hierdie kry. Die area is baie mooi, ons kan dit baie.
En wat sou jy kry?
Lekker was bietjie probleem met oorverhitting. Lekker wie fans is 'n fuse gewas en ons het probleme gekry en ons nou op pad is.
Krobler and Vormans arrived to take on new wheels. Teammates Gerben Lawaskachny were now in the lead, with Krobler and Vormans second. Steyn and Fourie had been relegated to third and would have to put in a charge if they hoped to regain the lead from the GBS Racing Nissans. Special vehicle leaders Corbett and Kelsey were in no hurry and used the pit stop to make adjustments on the bat.
Take us 10 minutes to adjust the cable.
Destroy the gearbox.
And we're having a good run. It's a good shakedown before the season starts. We're enjoying ourselves.
Any problems?
No problems at all. It's quite nice and marshy, some of the riverbeds. A lot of fun to play out there.
Gareth Walk was on a mission and decided against pitting, which gave him the special vehicle and Class B lead in the Super Pave Mighty Mag. The Fanfierens were second behind Krobler and Vormans in the regional production vehicle category. Corbett and Kelsey had the bit between their teeth as they chased after special vehicle leader Gareth Walk. Reiniger and Fantonda were the regional Class T leaders in the Toyota Land Cruiser and had the De Greef pair breathing down their necks. Predictably, the river section had turned into a mud bath, and crews were having a tough time getting through. Gert Steyn and Hannes Venter battled in the two-wheel drive Toyota Hilux, but managed to get through. Attie van Deventer and Krappie Staudinger made a real mess of things and would end up being classified as non-finishers. Brothers Hamish and Alistair Stubbs also got it all wrong in the corporate off-road entertainment Viper and joined the growing ranks of non-finishers. Paul Wenzel and Wessel Creel were having a splashing time in the Sandmaster and would eventually finish fifth in Class B. The heavier production vehicles managed to get through the quagmire a lot easier than the lighter special vehicles. Jaapie Schutter and Paul Marie were having a steady run in the Ford V8 and would end up third in Class F, while Mark Webber and Marcus van den Berg were well placed in the Class E gearbox and diff center Toyota Hilux. Gareth Walk retired with fuel injection problems and handed the special vehicle lead to Corbett and Kelsey. In the regional section, Alfred and Tommy van Vieren were second overall and second in Class D, with the Nissan hardbody not missing a beat all day, while Hendrik Reiniger and Jaco van Tonde in the Land Cruiser were well in control of matters in Class T. Malcolm Koch and Reno Jacobs were the Class E leaders in the Toyota Hilux, with the Nissan of Arthur Tappach and Gallo van der Merwe third in Class F. Brothers Derek and Peter de Wit had a clean run in the Prolong Orca and were the Class B leaders, with Wolf-Peter Fumphy having to settle for the runner-up spot in the WPP, which he designed and built. Dion Venter and Rikus Erasmus in the Toyota Land Cruiser went on to finish third in Class D. The corporate off-road entertainment Zarco of Glenn Claassen and Matthew Ludick finished third in Class B, while Lichtenberg 200 production vehicle category winners Hein Mullman and Cecil Fincham in the Castrol Toyota Hilux KZTE had to settle for second place in Class E. Webber and Van den Berg's run came to an end when the gearbox and diff center Toyota Hilux overheated. On board with new race leaders Hein Grobler and Charles Vomerans in the GBS Racing Nissan hardbody. Grobler assumed control of the Nampo 400 when teammates Gerber and Labuschagne were slowed with a slipping clutch. Steyn and Ferry had also got past Gerber and Labuschagne and were now hell-bent on overtaking Grobler and Vomerans. Gerber and Labuschagne were now third. The pair, with Labuschagne driving, won Class D on last year's Oven Fresh Biscuits 500 and the Carnival City Casino 400 and finished third in the Class D Championship. Grobler and Vomerans were still in the lead, but under intense pressure from Steyn and Ferry, who'd closed the gap to within seconds of the Nissan. The game was now well and truly on, and it was anyone's guess who would cross the line first. Grobler and Vomerans handed Steyn and Ferry the win in the Nampo 400 when the engine in the GBS Racing Nissan hardbody lost compression. A fine victory for Hannes Steyn and Oki Ferry that augurs well for their national championship campaign. Grobler and Vomerans limped back to the pits and then relied on pit crew to push them to within sight of the finish line, whereafter the driver and co-driver pushed the lifeless Nissan across the line third. Corbett and Kelsey were the lone national special vehicle finishers in the Century Property Development's bat.
Ja, nee, ons het eerste uitgegaan en ons het op die einde van die eerste lap het ons eerste ingekom. Het staan ons in die pits te doen ons 'n bietjie herstelwerk. Die ding het bietjie geoverheat en die fans se fuses het geblaas. Toe maak ons dit reg. Toe gaan ons derde uit. Maar toe kon ons die manne daarin weer vang. Dus ons is dan weer eerste in. So ons het daarin voorgebly vandag.
Yeah, I think it's looking good for the bats this year. We had a good day out here. We just came basically to have a shakedown before the national season starts. And the event was great, very well run and nice terrain out there, very sandy.
Last year I took navigators points and Kutsia took drivers points, but we did change, so I did have a little bit of a drive, but the last 4 races we never changed. It became so competitive that it wasn't time. You couldn't afford the 3 or 4 minutes to change over. And this year it's my turn to drive and Kutsia's turn to navigate again. And he'll have his drives again, but we'll play it by race by race.
Een bezige dag geweest. Ons het in die eerste loop, soms vroeg in die begin 2 papwiele op die linkerkant gehad, 'n groot klip geslaan. Toe so in die helfte van die eerste loop, toe staan Henk Steyn se kar reg voor my in die brand. Toe swem ons eers almal bietjie. Sy kar uitgeblus, toe is gery. En ek het al die pad gery tot die kilo voor die einde. Gee die motor in. Hy het net die kompressie. So. Ons het net gemaak. Was 'n baie harde reis geweest, was baie lekker geweest.
Highlights of the Nampo 400 were proudly brought to you by